Hey guys, it is Monday, September 29th, 2025. My name is Tony. This is a new season of my podcast, and welcome to it. For season two, I want to do things a little differently because for most of the first season, I felt like I was trying to figure out what the voice of the show was supposed to be. And I started out totally unscripted, but I think maybe a little bit too formulaic. By the end of season one, I think I was for the most part fully scripted, but I also felt like I was playing a character instead of just being me. This time around, I've decided to go back to basics, not just in the sense of talking to you without a script, but also in accepting that I don't know how to make professional videos and I don't really care to learn. As I get into today's topic, I hope you'll understand that this isn't just a case of laziness. It's me trying to go back to an online space where perfect lighting and audio and sweeping cinematic drone shots really didn't matter. Like, a time where substance and individuality were free to shine. Over the past year, I caught myself in a trap that I didn't even know that I was in. I wasn't spending time online because I wanted to. I was doing it because I felt like I had to. A quick scroll here, a little check there, and suddenly my ability to focus, to think was slipping away. And it didn't feel like entertainment anymore. It felt like an obligation. And that obligation was costing me not just time, but well-being. The more I chased it, the worse it got. The so-called connections I thought I was making weren't really connections at all. They were surface level, sometimes fake, and way too often they were negative. And that started to bleed into like how I saw myself and even how I saw other people around me. So that's where I want to begin this season with the trap, the cost of it, and my decision to step away from it in search of something that's lost to most of us. Like I said, I found myself scrolling because I felt obligated to, not because I want to. I think they call it doom scrolling. When you get onto like Facebook app or whatever social media you use, and it just scroll, 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 scroll. And I realized that there was no pleasure in it for me. And I thought at first maybe it was just me following the wrong people or me approaching things in the wrong frame of mind. But when I really started like looking around, I'm looking at all these other people too, and it just the same look on their face that I probably had. That look that just says like I don't actually care, but I can't stop. And it just I got so sick of it. I mean, what's the point of dedicating this many hours to something where there isn't really a payoff? And having struggled with substance addiction in the past, this whole thing with the social media really did feel a lot like that. The compulsion to do it, even though it was like hurting me. The loss of control over the situation, like, well, I think I can handle just a little bit, but it's like it turns into so much more than that. It's not just a little bit, it's not just a taste. It just, you try to dabble and like hours later, you just have like one of those like, what the fuck have I done moments? Where did the time go? And I was just sick of that. And also, just like with addiction to alcohol, drugs, whatever else, it's almost like you you build up like a tolerance to it. Like what used to be enough, it's not enough anymore. You just keep on like going after more and more and more. And when you stop going after the more and more and more, whether it's because like you've had other things to do that like take away from your social media time, or heaven forbid you leave the house and forget to bring your phone with you, those withdrawal symptoms were kicking in, getting anxious when I wasn't scrolling. I crave it. I would pass up on doing other things just to sit there bored off my ass, doom scrolling, thinking I should be recording my podcast, I should be meditating, I should be like a million and one other things. But instead of that, here I was, just with the stupid phone in my hand, scroll, 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 scroll. And like the whole time thinking, like, I don't care. But obviously, on some level, I did care because I didn't stop. And I remember a couple of years ago, I mean, my partner at the time had pointed out to me, like you never put your phone down. Like she was starting to get kind of bothered by it. But of course, like I did what every addict does. I slipped into denial. No, no, it's not happening. Oh no, you're overreacting. It was just like a million and one things to try to divert from the actual fact that I had a problem. And I did, out of consideration for her, try to slow down on my phone time. Like if I was sitting there doom scrolling and then she came walking into the room, well, then I put my phone down, make a big show of it. But when I sat there thinking about it, like, why do I keep doing this? I mean, I was lying to myself too, telling myself, well, I need social media to stay connected. I need to keep my accounts active to promote my podcasts. And as I've learned, none of that's actually true. I mean, any connections that I lost because I'm not on social media, I have a hard time believing that these were real connections at all. I mean, like out of like 1,000 friends supposedly that I had on Facebook, when I deactivated my Facebook account, I heard from three of them. So out of all that huge group of people, three people actually gave a shit. So I was connecting to what? An illusion? A lie? And like I said, my ability to think and focus was slipping away too. It's like the loss of the ability, I can't say like a total loss of the ability, but a reduced capacity to think. That was a real loss for me because I've always prided myself on being like a critical, independent thinker, a logical person. But instead of what I used to do, which is like if something came up and everybody was talking about it, look into it for myself and see like, well, what do I actually think about it? I found like more and more what I thought about things were being shaped by like a handful of people who I trusted to kind of like tell me what I should think. And I don't know. I guess it wasn't a total loss of focus either because I was able to focus. I was able to focus on the social media. I was able to focus on my online time. It's just like I wasn't focusing on things that were actually serving me. And I don't know how much of that was like the addictive quality of social media and how much of it was just like ADHD at work. Because like ADHD, a lot of people like who don't understand it, it's not that you can't focus, it's just that you can't focus on something that doesn't matter to you or that you don't see the value in. And I was able to focus very, very well on the social media. I mean, it wasn't giving me anything. I wasn't entertained. I still can't figure out exactly what the payoff was, but there I was dedicating what limited focus I had to this poison. And through all this, it's like I don't think it was just time I was losing. It was also my well-being. And part of that was, chasing these impossible standards. When you look at like the profiles of like friends, connections, celebrities, I mean, whoever it is, I mean, they offer you this curated glimpse into their real life. And it's kind of hard to not start like scorekeeping. And I found I was doing that too. I mean, I'm not typically a person who cares. Like if a neighbor gets a new car, I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm happy for you. Good for you. You worked hard. You deserve it. I'm not jealous of the neighbor's house. I'm not jealous of like the people in my real life and on any level, but it's just like for whatever reason, when you get into social media, I think to some degree the rules of engagement changed. The way that I was responding certainly was changing. 'Cause, like I'd hear that somebody was like doing well for themselves, and the first thing I was thinking, yeah, fuck you. And like I don't want to be like that. I want to be happy for people when they do well. But I think part of like my reaction was realizing like how fake it all probably was, because while I was chasing the impossible standards that these other people were setting, I realized that to some degree I was also setting these same impossible standards to other people. You know, people listen to my podcast, they hear me talk, they hear me share. They're also getting a curated version of my real life. It's not like I'm sitting here lying to anybody, but the things I offer, I mean, it's not the whole picture. I can talk to you when I'm in exactly the right mood. I can talk to you when I'm not going through some shit. I can talk to you when I'm not like sitting there wishing that like I could just go into the woods and put a gun in my mouth. You know what I mean? Sometimes life hurts real bad. And like I can talk in the past, anyways, I should say I've talked about like how life hurts. I can share once I'm in a good place, but very rarely did I share when I was in the midst of it. And I do think there's a degree of dishonesty in that, because I mean, to other people, I mean, looking at me, looking at these standards I'm setting, it looks like, wow, this guy keeps a cool head in the midst of the chaos. But I wasn't keeping a cool head. I just wasn't letting you see me in the chaos. And the overall experience, I think, between like the imposter syndrome and also like trying to chase these impossible standards, I mean, all in all, it was kind of like eroding my well-being. Just every one of these experiences, like another little piece of me taken away. But again, I was like sitting there thinking, well, at least I've got like a lot of good connections. It wasn't just like the handful of jerks who I didn't respond well to, thinking I got all this real support group. But I got to the point where even these like so-called connections that I was supposed to value, they started feeling hollow. And like I said at the top, like I was like having connections that weren't connections, like this long list of friends, people I thought I could go to. And when the chips were down, it's like you reach out, you can see that the person has read the message, but do they respond? No. If they do respond, what is it? Like a thumbs up, maybe like a crying emoji, or they'll send hugs and promise to talk soon, but you don't talk soon. And in this online space surrounded by supposedly friends, I was alone. At best, the experience was superficial, but like at worst, and I think worst is probably like two-thirds of it, was totally fake. And worse than being superficial and fake, I mean, it just everything was just dripping with negativity. It's like everywhere you turn, it's just like bad news. I'm feeling bummed out. Like you should be outraged by this. Cancel so and so. It's like the day starts and ends with this negativity. It's like for people like me, I'm very sensitive. It's kind of hard to maintain a healthy headspace when I'm like neck deep in the shit. And beyond my personal experience, I started noticing too, like I said, like looking around, like what was happening in the online culture itself. It seems like everybody is like perpetually offended, outraged. I mean, not because of things that are happening to them, of course. No, no, that would be too easy. That would be honest. People are just offended by things that don't affect them. Like I don't have to spell it out. I'm sure if you think about your own experience, you could probably think of like a dozen or so examples of like people that you interact with online that like fit the bill. And if you're honest like I am, maybe you're one of those people too. None of us likes to be a hypocrite, but I mean, we part of, I guess, being part of the online community. You just get dragged into it over and over. I also got tired of these like movements that were like chasing their tails. And not just the movements I was involved with, but the ones that I kind of was opposed to, right? I mean, like the atheism movement. I mean, like the atheists, of which I am one, constantly debating the Christians and talking about how like the religious people are the cause of problems and blah blah blah. But meanwhile, it's like this big circle jerk of like pointing out what all the problems were. It's like there's no real solutions. Just everybody being annoyed and everybody talking about how there's a problem and somebody should do something and look at us. And it's not like they want to actually do anything. They just want to be seen looking like they're doing something. The other side of the argument is the same too. Political movements, I mean, social movements, take your pick. These things just keep going round and round in circles. And what really changes other than the fact that like we're more aware? I mean, like, holy fuck, at a certain point, it's time to stop raising awareness. We're all like aware, right? It's like, for a very, very extreme example, I don't need to be made aware that cancer is a terrible thing. My father died from it. My grandparents, like all of us have been touched by cancer. You don't need some like talking head online telling you be aware. Like we're aware. Now what? And I think that's the case with most things. We live in a connected world. Like if you're unaware of something, your head has been up your ass. I'm sorry. The time to like be sharing is over. The time for doing is here. And sorry to like burst anybody's bubble, but making some stupid fucking series of posts on social media isn't actually doing something. All you're doing is making other people who are also or who are already aware more aware. It's like you're making each other aware, supposedly. And it's like, at what point do you realize how fruitless this is? And not just the awareness, but I mean, like also like people trying to cancel each other. It's like somebody said something I don't like, and now I want to get everybody all ramped up and outraged, and let's just like ruin this person's life. Not even taking a moment to think like, is all this shit true? A and B, does it even matter? Like when a comedian gets canceled because they said something that offended somebody, it's like, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but this is what comedians do. It's a different thing if somebody just picks on one particular group and leaves it at that, then it's like, okay, I can see the bigotry there. But just because somebody makes a joke about a certain minority doesn't mean that they're bigoted towards that minority. Because I mean, I look at somebody like Matt Rife. This guy picks on absolutely everybody. If any one group would say, well, you picked on me. Well, that's inclusive as all shit because he picks on everybody. Like, if anything, I think like if you're sitting there like in a wheelchair or something like that and thinking, well, how dare you make fun of me because I'm in a wheelchair? It's like you don't want equality at that point. You're kind of bigoted towards your own like demographic. That to me is kind of fucked up. I mean, people don't see the hypocrisy in all this. It's just it's so stupid. And then the other side of it, like I said, like people don't take the time to figure out whether it's true or not. Like I last year had given like a really good interview on somebody's podcast, and then I got an email from the host a few weeks later saying that she had pulled the content. And I'm wondering like what the hell happened? So I asked her, like, basically like why did you pull the episode? I thought it went well. I thought the conversation was going to help a lot of people. And then she said, well, I heard some things about you online. And I'm thinking, well, what did you hear? She wouldn't tell me. And it later came to me, somebody sent me some screenshots from this obviously fake Facebook profile of somebody accusing me from everything from being like a Nazi, which is hilarious, to supporting eugenics, to trafficking people, to credit card fraud. Like, take your pick. It was like this laundry list of things that were ridiculous, saying that I had made my exes take ancestry DNA tests just to find out if they were at all Jewish, and that I broke up with my ex-wife because she was 2% Jewish. First of all, like, look at the color of my skin if you're watching on YouTube. It's like I'm a person of color. My mom is African. My ancestry DNA results show that, like, yeah, I'm basically like half white. The other half is take your pick, including Jewish. And this person who would accuse me of breaking up with my ex for being 2% Jewish, I mean, not like it really matters, but like according to Ancestry, I'm 3% Jewish. Like, what do you freaking do? What kind of Nazi am I? Believing in eugenics. I mean, anybody who knows what eugenics is, like, you understand what a ridiculous statement that is. I mean, both of my kids, in each in their own way, I won't get into their story, it's theirs to tell, but I mean, they're special needs people. I myself am special needs. If I was into eugenics, I would like, I shouldn't exist. But I mean, people don't care about the truth of the matter. They care that something is dramatic. So I thought, this is the way things are going to go. Maybe I should just cancel myself. I'm going to cancel myself before some stupid, small brain insecure loser could lie me out of existence. But, it's not just the people. It's this overall system that that like all of us are trapped in. We got headlines screaming for attention, sensationalized things. I mean, people don't read past the headlines either, which is what makes like these screaming sensationalized headlines all the more dangerous. The substance of the article might be fairly low key, maybe almost boring stuff. Things that if you took a minute to read it, you realize how bullshit the headline is. You realize, okay, like now I'm a little bit informed. And now that I'm informed, I can make the determination that this doesn't affect me. There's nothing for me to get emotional about. But that's the thing. These people that write these headlines, they know that people aren't going to read into it. They're not going to find out that they don't care. They're going to read that one or two sentences and then start freaking the fuck out and start, raising awareness again. Back to that. Worse than the headlines is the constant invasive and usually unavoidable ads. Everywhere you go, there's an ad. I download a free app on my phone to pass the time. There's ads. I scroll the social media feeds. Like the ads look like posts. Like I go to like fucking Amazon shopping. Like, and I'm a Prime member. I pay for a subscription. It's like I'm already there spending money on your stupid store, but it's like to even get to my cart, I had to go through like a few pages of ads before I could even pay for the shit. I go anywhere online, it just ads, 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 ads. And it gets to be too much. It's like you overwhelm me with anything, and it just instinctively I want to start backing off. And between the sensationalized headlines, the people spouting off uneducated opinions very, very confidently, even podcasts, like even me, I'm probably like, I don't know, maybe I'm not in the best position to judge, but if you look at my past work, I mean, there's probably something I got ramped up about that maybe I should have like taken some time to think about before recording. But, it just, there's this push to get the content out. And not just for podcasters. I mean, for anybody who's got social media, there's this push to get some attention. There's a push to like put something out there. It's like we're social animals that like all live in our isolated little corners in real life. The online realm is when we interact, and then it's like we want attention. It's hard to get noticed when you're like competing with that many people. And trying to find information you can trust in that mess, it just gets so hard sometimes. Then over the last year, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen that AI has like begun to be injected into absolutely everybody, everything, whether it makes sense or not. AI is involved. Like I don't use a Windows computer anymore. I've been using a Mac for a couple of years. Happy. Mine is a little bit of an older one, so I don't have like any AI woven into it. And I'm not anti-AI. It's like there are specific use cases where it is very, very powerful. I myself have used it for certain things. But I find like the more it gets pushed on me, the more I'm backing off. You hear people talking about AI slop. I'm not gonna be one of those people like throwing my hat in the ring. I don't care. It's a fucking stupid catchphrase, whatever. We know the internet's polluted, but part of the way that these AI brains sort of teach themselves is by like scraping information from the internet and applying it to its database effectively. Now the problem with that is when AI gets things wrong and AI is in everything, including like a simple Google search. You don't just go to the results, you go to like what AI thinks that the results should be. But then the other AIs, they're all like learning from each other. They're absorbing each other's misinformation, and it's turning into this snowball effect where it's like, what are the facts anymore? I don't even know. And I started thinking that like the internet isn't exciting anymore. Like something simple and rewarding had been lost. If I think back to like I was like not one of the first people online. In fact, I think I was a fairly late adopter. I didn't go online for the first time until I think it was like the year 2000. Everybody had already been online for quite a while by then, but it's like it was exciting. The internet was simple. It's like websites didn't all look the same. And the way you went about finding things, even like a simple search engine, it wasn't like there was one search engine to rule them all. There was like a handful of them. You get different results from different one. It was kind of cool because if you were looking for something, it was so easy to come across all these differing perspectives. Not like people were trying to like give you like different truths. They were just giving you like different interpretations of the truth, different angles of the truth, different elements of the truth. But I felt reasonably confident that aside from like the occasional outlying nonsense, like quote unquote misinformation, most of the stuff I was coming across was actually useful. My online space was useful. I don't know, like people remember like having like MySpace or GeoCities or something back in the day. Maybe you even had your own website. I mean, like I was one of those people. I had like my own like little individual corner of the internet that, I learned how to code some HTML. I made my own website and it was mine. Like it wasn't just a case of like choose a profile pic, like a couple of quotes and start adding friends. Like I built this thing from the ground up and it was me and I loved it. But I realized recently that like somewhere along the way I traded my individuality for a place in a really, really ugly gray artificial world. So I made a choice. I recognized that the environment was toxic. So I unplugged from social media. I stepped away from, what I'm calling the corporate internet, and I turned toward something called the indie web. Like the indie web is sort of it's a small but growing community of people that also like kind of miss the way things used to be online, where people built their own stuff, where like they weren't bombarded with ads and AI and like everything being gray and the same, where people are actually coding their own sites from scratch, where they're taking the time to learn how to build the things they want, where they're not using social media, they're visiting each other's websites. They're connecting, they're expressing, like they're messaging each other outside of the metaverse. They're taking the internet back for themselves. Like you lose your social media account, you lose what? You lose everything. You lose your contacts, you lose your pictures. This is all, I think, part of like what keeps people hooked. And I was just tired of being hooked. I downloaded my pictures. It's like I don't need to share it with everybody anyways. Just I needed to reclaim my focus. I needed to reclaim my meaning and I needed to reclaim my individuality. So I did that, you know. So where I am now is I built a retro style website. I didn't use any of those easy creation tools. I had to really, really like take a couple weeks to jog my brain. This is one of those things where it would have been the easiest thing in the world to cheat and use AI. But I sat there and just seeing if I can find it here. No, here it is. I sat there with a piece of paper and I sketched out kind of what I wanted my basic website to look like. And then I sat there with the same notebook trying to remember not just the code, but it's just basically like how would I go about accomplishing even like the simplest of layouts? And that process in itself was like really, really rewarding. I managed to remember most of what I needed to remember. Not everything, but anybody who's interested in seeing what I've put together, it's really, really like early 2000s, late 90s aesthetic, and I love it. I'll keep on building on it, but everything's going to be like hard coded. I refuse to use a drag and drop creation tool because there's a satisfaction in knowing that you built something, even if it's not as exciting as what could be generated by somebody else. It is mine, and nobody else has the same thing. And if they do have the same thing, it's because they copied me, not because I copied them. So, like, I feel okay with that. And I'm also in the process of finding alternate platforms to express myself and showcase my work. Like, I know it's really easy to like bitch about the corporate internet while posting to a platform like YouTube, but it's like I am experimenting with alternate video hosting platforms on the indie web. I don't have much reach on YouTube anyways, so it's not like I'm losing a massive audience. My audio podcast does very, very well, but for some reason the YouTube algorithm just doesn't like my content, and I'm just tired of getting buried. It's like I don't mind failing on my own terms, but if I'm failing because an algorithm is like not letting people see me, well then fuck the algorithm. I'll just cancel myself from here too. So over the course of the next year, probably I'm going to be making an announcement at some point, letting you know where to find the videos if that's what you're interested in. If not, the audio podcast is always going to be in the same place. I'm also refusing to accept fake connections. You know, if you want to reach out because you want to get a hold of me, because you want to have a conversation, because you want to connect, that's cool. But because I'm not on social media, there's no just, oh yeah, send me a friend request and then forget that I exist. No, that's not an option anymore. I would rather accept isolation than to pretend that it's not there. And right now, I'm looking for like-minded people to make real connections with. I mean, if you're one of those real people, go to my website. Take a look. If like anything that I've put together resonates with you, if you like the look of it, you like the sound of it, there's my email address is there. You can send me an email. Let's have a conversation. We can have a video chat. We can talk on the phone. I don't care, but like I'm done with this DM bullshit. I'm done with social media. I'm done with the modern internet. I just can't do it anymore. It's giving me indigestion. So, anyways, I don't know how long I've been going on. It feels like it's been a bit. So maybe I should just wrap it up here. In the meantime, if you've got thoughts on this or anything else I've spoken about, feel free to send me an email. Like I said, it's on the website. That's www.acfischer.com. That is FISCHER.com. I will try to put a link on the screen down below for those of you who are watching on YouTube. For everybody else, thank you for taking the time, and I will talk to you next time.